Hello, my name is House8524, and welcome to another Carcus World video. This is part 7, I believe. Yeah, it's part 7. So, where we last left off, Zardia was, of course, eaten back into the pickles, because Livonia did some stuff, we had some expansion, like we usually do, and Livonia was formed. That's about everything that happened. I believe I am. Oh, wait, yeah, these guys also expanded and figured out who these people are. Hip, hip, hooray. Also, I'm going to give them their own colors. See you in a second while I do that. They got their own colors. So, once again, we have some peace, like we always do, for, I think it's this time, it's gonna be 20 years. So, let me just go and skip to then, by, of course, doing some changes to this. It's year 520. And I'll quickly skip to when I've got all the expansion done. Okay, I am back. We have expansion into nearly the entirety of the magical. So we have into basically all of that area here. Each of these guys individually, they expanded out here. Tiska expanded there, and Echoley expanded into this final section that they were not in yet. Avonia finally finished off their river section right here. Chitra expanded a little bit here. Humana did not expand out all new. Little bit here. Carlo up here. Pulu over here, and Ope over here. So, now, the original people who lived in the country that Newt took over weren't really happy that they were taken over, not too long ago, actually. So they felt like, no, I don't think we want to be a part of you anymore, so, see ya. So they just left. They went off and founded their own country, which, of course, now it's here. You might be wondering, why is it so big? And why does it touch the Pickle Empire? Well, they learned a little bit from their ancestors about how to properly colonize and set up kingdoms. So they, of course, were able to do that really, really quickly. And to note, a lot of people left. Like, a lot. So, a couple of these tiny towns just straight up disappeared. Yeah, they're disappearing. So, Newt had to literally go and make new ones. With less people. So, yeah. The Pickles were relatively friendly. They gave them a guarantee as to that they would stay to exist. More or less. So, yeah, they get to exist here. And let's give them a name. I'm gonna call you Lulu, which I'm gonna have, which supposedly in their language I'm gonna have me, and I don't know, something about their original country that they came from. So now let's move down. Let's move to up here, because there are some people in this little stretched out region of Tiska who aren't really happy. So they decide to do what normal people would do. Rebel! So, they just straight up went, nope, we're no longer being with you, and became known as Ola Ulup Ulup Olip. Ulup Olip. Tiska did not take this nicely, so of course they thought it'd be fair if they were to do just some typical attacking, because like that totally isn't mean. Like that totally is not mean whatsoever to be attacking someone when they've just declared their independence. Like that totally is not mean. That is very much mean. So Tiska decided that no. You stay with us. You can't exist. So they instantly just pushed in. Without a care in the world. Even destroying a city. But then, because these guys knew that was going to happen, they got all ready and prepared. So they built up a defense here. That place was meant to get destroyed. So they instantly pushed back and now decided that the tables have turned. And so now it's their turn to go start having some fun. They even built 2 new cities. Tiska was now in trouble, considering their supposedly easy victory is no longer such an easy victory, if a victory at all. So, because the lost army in that attack, they had not expected them to be ready already, so they were completely shocked when they were managed to push in, capture a city, move even more, capture their capital, not to mention, and take the rest of the entire country. Just like that. And they thought, we did good with our attack. Let's make sure you no longer exist. So they totally annexed them. Which now means Tiska no longer exists. Which I guess makes sense. Since this is such a small country, any rebellion would probably just take the whole of it. And to note, this right here is no longer their capital. That is their capital. That's why take the other enemy's capital and use it. Like, that's just dumb. So, Ulip, now I'm just going to call them Ulup, now exists. And since these 2 areas have now actually known each other that they exist, mentioned that last time, they start to have a lot of communication, sharing culture and identities. And just generally, when we take a look at the races, I never added humans here, which I am totally going to go do now. So, yeah. Generally, the races have generally just expanded, which, of course, makes sense, considering as their home country expands, so do their race. But this also leads to a weird divide. Some countries, like Avonia, there's only one of them, and they make up like such a small part of the world. So they don't have, and since now there's been so much more attacking and such, they don't have enough peaceful time to go and expand outwardly big. Some countries, like the Pickle Empire, just expanded quickly and keeps onto their territory without getting into any major fights. Some, like the humans, simply just got so many groups splintering off that just caused them to spread across the world. But some, like the Pickles and Alvonia, they are a lot more closely together. They don't really split, meaning they don't have all these groups across the world. Like, if Elves were to leave, they probably wouldn't go far, only go here, instead of, like, going all the way up here, causing a new Elven pocket up in the north. Well, the humans would totally go do that, because they think a ton more. So, and since they only think that this continent is what exists, and they have, like, no idea what's actually beyond some of this, like, all the stuff that is outside of this bubble, yeah, they have no idea what's beyond it. So, like, And they don't even have proper ship tech to close like this. I think this is it's a pretty big gap, even though it doesn't show here. Of course, I could say, oh, this gap right here is, I don't know, 1,000 miles. And then people will start going like, oh, that means Shim is like 2,000 miles across. I don't care. I really don't care about scales. I will say this is 200 miles across for any of you people who want to figure out just exactly how big every country is. If this gap right here is 200 miles, go ahead. Do it yourself. I'm personally pausing right now for you. Okay, that's enough. So, that leads to elves and pickles being not as big, but with the pickles, they have the entirety of the Pickle Empire and magic to help them. In the Pickle Republic, which technically a vassal of the Pickle Empire. While some with Elvonia, it's only Elvonia, meaning that if Elvonia were to be destroyed and their people massacred, that would mean the end of the elves. I know I just went into a lot of depth about the races. This is important, because since humans are becoming so dominant, it's causing panic. So now the elves want to expand rapidly. And if they expand rapidly, humans will come after them. And they might even form a coalition with the pickles, which means then the elves will get divided, have a whole bunch of trees imposed on it, and now they probably won't be able to expand anymore. So it's like, they either want to, if they want to expand aggressively, they could attack into Char and make sure no one's going to want to help them. But then they'll see as really aggressive expanders. And they could just expand out into the land, which of course they could do, and most likely would do. But they'll eventually come into competition with the Pickle Empire, which is so much bigger and stronger, which most of these tiny little human countries, if they don't have any help, will get totally demolished by it. So the elves have an issue. The pickles have the Pickle Empire, which will totally just protect any pickles that are really around. Even if they are a smaller group, they are also the biggest empire that there is on the map. The humans, they're just so splintery that they're always careening off in new groups to go colonize new areas. Meaning that they don't have to worry too much about being destroyed as a race, because eventually humans will feel like, oh no, we don't want to be with you anymore. And then they'll go on this long trek all the way up to the north. But the elves will stay together in this area, because they're too scared, and they only have Elvonia. Now, this train of thought led to Elvonia thinking, okay, what can I do that is expansion that won't give me issues with other countries? I guess I could just expand this way. So that's what they did. At the sound of my step, we will now be at the next section. And I'm back. And in 2 years, thus making this no longer year 120, now making this year 122, which, to note, no other countries really expanded. They used a plan that they came up with to rapidly expand. They expanded upwards, which to note will now make their race a lot more prominent. But the issue with rapid expansion is that it means that people will people have a lot, it means less stability. So it now means that up in this northern area, since they didn't have slow time, it means it has a much higher risk of, I don't know, having a rebellion. But it doesn't, because the elves are relatively, a lot more peaceful. Now down to here. The Pickle Empire. Humana. The country that, what was it? Oh yeah, 75 years ago got totally kicked into the dust, losing stuff to T'Challa, Shim, and the Pickle Empire. Not to mention having some new countries formed out of it. Down here, for example. And Humana, now deciding that enough is enough. We need to become big again. I don't care for violating treaties. We're going to do something similar to World War II in my world, at the least. So, they did some expanding. Down here. Which, of or saying insignificant, but it gives them a good border with mute, which now that sounds extremely suspicious, considering it gives them a really good border with mute, which there was once a part of them. Oh no, I think you can see where I'm going here. You might have decided that mute. Because, well, they want to get more land and actually become something that can be fearsome again. I mean, like, originally they encompassed all of this land. But now, then they fall. So, you know what's gonna happen. It's kind of obvious at this point. A couple years later, they decided they're gonna invade Newt. But the thing is that since Newt was made out of the treaty, once they started moving in and capturing cities, they instantly angered him. Which is totally like, hey, that's not cool. You lost the war. That's just what you get for losing the war. Like, why? Why would you do this? Which is now making, like, everyone question, ooh, do they deserve it? It has been 75 years. Ooh, a whole bunch of crazy things determining whether or not they should actually be legal, or something along those lines. So, yeah, now we're starting to have some very interesting conversations. But Shim was like, no, human, you do not go and invade other countries, even if they were once a part of you. So, they then started getting invaded in from this section by Shim, which, to note, means that since Shim is one of those countries that rebelled, it now means that Humana also has an extra hatred, which means that now T'Cha felt the need to also intervene, leading to basically just an all-sided war. Basically to a one-sided war, okay? They all had better military powers because Humana was kind of, I don't know, crippled. And this allowed Newt to get their army in check and push them out of their home. Okay, just push them out. Which now means they are completely out of this area, allowing Newt to go and do some invading of their own, coming in from the south. Now moving into the south. And with Humana now just completely surrounded, they just felt like, fine, I'll lose some land, come and get you later. Despite the fact on how much this annoyed Humana, they just couldn't really, they had to accept it. Unless everyone else were to decide that, yeah, we've been harsh enough on you. You can be free to go back to your normal ways. Like, they're basically never going to be able to achieve anything. So, Newt got this south section, Shim got this, and Cha got over here. They lost some land. That's what they get for invading a country that was farmed out of them, like, quite a couple of years ago. That, like, everyone felt like should not be killed. So, yeah, Newt got compensation. Isn't that wonderful? Now, so, Humana got even smaller. Can't even expand unless they want to go and expand into the mountains, which technically no one has really done so far, considering it's mountains. Yeah, that's what they get for trying to attack the country that was formed out of them ages ago. So, I think that is enough for today. Not much has happened, except for maybe some changes up here, changes down here. So, yeah. Next time, we'll discuss more about the entirety of this world. Well, just more about the world other than the singular continent. Because it's been 7 parts of this. This is getting kind of boring. Just sitting on this continent, having no, like, races or anything? Fuck. Wonder what that could mean. See you all later!